Good day, everyone. Piper, Sally, Amy's in there as well. I can't see the comments. Michelle can. So if you said hello or anything, I can't see them. But the music might play in a minute. The gas man's delivering. It's a funny little tune. It reminds me of a Russian tune. There he goes. Beeps his horn. We're on lockdown. You're not meant to be out, but the gas guy is still. I think that's still essential facilities. So there's like a little open truck that goes through the town. Just I've gone now, and he plays music. It's ding 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 ding. It's a cool little tune, and that denotes. Can you hear? So that's the sound of the gas man. The gas man cometh. All the little services around here have different tunes. And as you know, Friday night we had a little bit of that wasn't that major a problem, but it wasn't a great idea to sort of shut down the whole city of Istanbul and Ankara, I think a few other cities as well. About 60 million people told with an hour's notice all the shops are going to close over the weekend and you're not allowed to go outside. So it caused a bit of problems because a lot of people panicked. They just needed, people didn't know, there's no prior warning that everything was going to close and they had to stay indoors. So everybody in the city went out, and you might have saw the little clip I got out. They were queuing outside the shops. It just got gradually worse up to midnight. Outside the bakers, they were queuing, and it wasn't a great idea. I don't know who was responsible for that idea, but it wasn't the best idea, because what happened is there was zero social distancing. I was okay because you saw I was stood the other side of the road, and I eventually found one of the little stores that I didn't have too many people. I just grabbed some water and went back upstairs. But no, we're all safe and sound. I wanted to, the reason the thumbnail is what it is, because several people have said to me, that's no big deal, 48 hours lockdown, but it isn't a lockdown in the same sense as most countries where they're just saying, you can go to the shops, lockdown. It wasn't that. Happy Easter, Sally. Happy Easter, Amy. Happy Easter, Anne. So yeah, it's not the traditional sort of lockdown everyone's having. It was a serious sort of hard curfew for 48 hours. It's still going on now, though I'm not entirely sure. I'll tell you what happened. Basically, they said everything was shutting down, and then by about 1 o'clock in the morning, we were still up because we were doing that live stream. By about 1 o'clock in the morning, they started to backpedal a little bit and say the bakeries were staying open. Now, I don't think the bakeries knew they were staying open, because people were queuing up outside the bakery, 10, 20 deep at some of the bakeries, waiting to, they just want the bread for the morning, and it's different here. I think people don't understand how different some of these beautiful sort of, this region of Europe is. People still shop the old-fashioned way. They still go out daily and get their sort of fresh milk. Some of them, the milks are delivered in just little sacks, little bags. Some of them, they drop the little baskets out of their window and get their bread. So it's really old school, traditional. The supermarkets, you haven't got those great big Coles and whatever you have in your countries. I guess what's the one in the US? Walmarts. There aren't really those sort of stores. Most people shop in really small, traditional. Even though this is I get varying figures from 20 million to 27 million people in this city. A great deal of them still shop socially, and so they all rushed out. But the reason of the thumbnail. Go back to the thumbnail. Is about on the 3rd of April. There was also another decree that came out that said all teenagers and below, all the teenage kids had to stay in 24 hours. They're not allowed out of the house. So they've been told now for, I think it's over a week now, teenage kids have been told that they're not allowed to leave the house for any reason at all, not even just to go to the shops or to get exercise. And you know what it's like with kids. I mean, if any of you've got kids, or if you're kids yourself, you've got the kids playing on the sort of Game Boy or whatever it is that your kids might play with, and you tell them to get outside. The last thing they want to do is get outside. Go outside, get some fresh air, go out, go and kick a ball around the park. Nobody wants to get outside. But you tell, I don't know how many thousands, perhaps even millions of teenagers there are in Istanbul, play on your Game Boy, you can't go outside, and I bet all of them are chomping at the bit, don't you think?
I think they're ready to go out now.
They'd be bouncing off the walls, don't you think? So yeah, they've been stuck in, the kids, I feel a little bit sorry for, they've been stuck in the house for, plus this 48-hour weekend, at least over a week, and also indefinitely. I mean, they could be stuck in the house without any exception for many more weeks, who knows. So I just feel a bit sorry. Pensioners are also, people of a pensionable age in Turkey have also been told they can't go out for exercise, can't go out for walks, can't go out shopping. No, it's pretty unpleasant. I think it's a little bit harsh.
Andre Nore says, happy Easter, new follower of you guys. Thanks for your vlog. I live in Ankara, came from Portugal in January. I suspect that 48 hours is the Turkish government wanting to adhere to other countries imposing the Easter restrictions, even if they do not celebrate it here.
Yeah, they don't celebrate Easter. Well, who was that? Andre. Andre, yes, it's possible. They were saying the main reason was because the weather was picking up and it was beautiful and they didn't want people going out. But don't you think they might have given a little more notice, maybe 2 days, so people could have just social distance and got.
In Ankara, so.
Yeah, he's in Ankara. See, I don't. Ankara's not as densely populated, although it's the capital. It's not as densely populated as Istanbul. Istanbul is a beautiful city. I haven't been to Ankara. So I don't know, Andre. You can tell us. Did you find that sort of an hour before midnight, was everyone out on the streets of Ankara buying stuff? Was it the same there as it was here?
So JM603 says happy Easter.
JM, happy Easter.
Petri,
how are you? Happy Easter. I'm sorry, I didn't even realise it was Easter, to be honest. Well, I knew it was Easter, but there's nothing Eastery going on here. The shops don't have any Easter sort of festives in the shop. It's not celebrated here. It's predominantly a Muslim country, is Turkey. So not entirely. There certainly are mixed denominations here, but it's predominantly a Muslim country. So I don't think Easter is part of their thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone that's watching that knows better, let us know.
The Piper says teenagers must be going crazy. Not the teenagers going crazy, but parents must be too.
Yeah, Piper, I'm not sure who I feel sorrier for, the teenagers or the parents. I've got a feeling the parents would have started. We all start in earnest. Let's do some little arts and crafts. Let's stick, for the younger ones particularly, who could be bouncing off the walls. You'll be doing sort of glitter sticking and maybe making some sort of macaroni glued to what are those mosaics, or
stringing up the
now that's nice for about there's all sorts of things you can do with kids, right?
How long do they
But 24 hours 7 days a week. Sadly, I mean, maybe it's a good thing that they've got all these computer games and things that they can play now, because you can while away many an hour, but I don't think it's too healthy. I mean, you always hear people saying to the kids, get outside. Certainly that's flipped on its head, but Michelle and I are all good.
Yeah. So Piper says happy Easter too, and
thank you.
Andre says he agrees with you. I'm an assistant professor in Bilkent University. I got the news from the administration here.
At what time, Andre, did you get the news? Because I'm told most people got it no earlier than 10 o'clock. So did you get it earlier, or did you get it at night time like the rest of us?
It says alone here, and you guys have been keeping spirits up. Thank you.
That's Andre?
Yeah.
Excellent, man. It's good.
Saturday, Andre got it.
Saturday. Yeah, I wondered if a lot of people would get it the following morning, and that's even more troublesome. I mean, possibly if you're living here, Andre, you've got stuff in, and you might have not had a blink. We would have been out of water, so we could have just boiled water. It wasn't the end of the world.
I mean, we could have survived, but
we would have been fine.
To get some extra things.
Excuse me.
So Petri says, I'm good. I cooked a small portion of turkey in the oven since I won't be going to my parents.
Yes, it's going to be hard, right? I know a lot of people, if you've got gardens, you can still sort of get out in the garden and do things. Actually, I think in most countries, the lockdowns allow you still to go out and maybe take walks and things, which is what we had up until Friday, unless you were younger or older. But yeah, Easter egg hunts. How do you celebrate Christmas activities? I'm guessing if some of you are particularly
Easter. You've been locked up that long.
Is it not Christmas yet, Michelle? Well, we'll probably be here. I should actually schedule the Christmas show, because I think we'll still be here. We were laughing the other day and saying we'll start applying for Turkish citizenship by the time we get out of this pickle. But
so Mert Dillman says the bad thing is laboured children who are under 20 years are exempted from the decree. There are too many of them.
Oh, laboured, like kids that are working in shops and things. Okay, that's interesting. So if you're a chimney sweep or a child that goes up chimneys, you're all right. You can carry on working. So laboured children who are maybe sweeping the streets or going up chimneys, they're okay. I think what they mean by that there are a lot of youngsters that work in the retail shops that were still open. But this weekend, everybody's in. So if anybody thought it was going to slow down this weekend, sort of put a nail in that coffin, because everybody's in. Mind you, I will say they backpedaled. I think I was saying this about 1 o'clock in the morning. We saw news saying that the bakers would stay open, and of course all the bakers, and there are thousands of them in Istanbul, because bread is a real staple. So all the hi, good evening, Jessica. So all the bakers opened the next day, which of course makes it a little bit of a farcical thing, because people can walk to get their bread from the bakers. And so there's still people on the streets, almost as many. I mean, you can barely get out on the streets for the people that are in lockdown. There are still quite a few people. Just like before, though, they're being really respectful. Outside the bakers below us, there's a good sort of 2 meters between everybody, and they're going in one at a time. But there still is a pretty constant flow of people walking around on the streets. And I've noticed some people seem to take the long way around to whatever baker they go. There's been a guy on the corner just down here now, has been there for about maybe 30 minutes or so. And they do still meet up and have a little.
Well, he's probably just checking on his neighbours as he goes home.
It possibly is. He seems to be. It was nice. I just saw Emre, one of the guys down here. He was out with a bag, and I thought, what's he doing? Is he delivering something? Because the shops are all closed. And he was just going all the way down our street and putting little piles of cat food out for all the cats, and also feeding the dog that's on the street here. So I saw it started there, 1, 2, 3, and I think that guy might be doing the same thing, actually. Mm-hmm. They do get overfed, these cats.
Mm-hmm. So Pradeep says, hello, Mr. Victoria. And I thought, what's he on about?
Hello, Pradeep.
He said, this is Preston, Pradeep.
Yes, Pradeep, I remember, mate. I remember. No worries. Queen Batur.
Do you both speak Turkish?
No, we speak when we ever get to a new country, and we've been to so many dozens of countries over the last 5 years, we obviously arrive with no real language skills. I speak modestly decent German, a little bit of decent French I can get by with, the odd word in 1 or 2. Each country we go to, we learn a little bit of extra words. But no, I don't speak Turkish other than thank you. I can count to 5 almost. No, I'm not going to do it again here. No, I will actually, because thank you is teşekkürler or teşekkürler. It can be pronounced. One guy says it to me one way, but it always sounds, well, you know what it sounds like. It's a good. There's a good mnemonic to remember how teşekkürler sounds in teşekkürler sounds in English. So that one's quite easy.
Petri said, I got a notification that there's a severe storm starting in Texas, moving towards the southeast. Not sure how long this will last or how bad it will be.
Right. So, well, if anyone's in the eye of that storm, battle down the hatches and be good, be safe.
So Andre said, my lack of Turkish helped me get away from getting a fine this morning when walking on campus.
All right.
Yes.
Good. I think I'd play dumb as well. I think a lot of people are walking around with a loaf of bread, and I've seen them walking the streets with a loaf of, so that's a good excuse. If you get caught, you're either going to or going from. But I have seen people out there with bread, the same loaf of bread, for quite a few rounds of the block. So yes. Andre, little tip for you. You won't need it. Hopefully they'll open things up tomorrow. But yeah, just stick a little simmet in a bag or a little baguette under your arm, and you can probably go wherever you like.
RMG says Happy Easter from Houston.
Happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter.
And Pradeep says, going to cook millet noodles and eat a veggie with eggs on it, mate, and our local protein dessert from dal base.
Beautiful. We've got just a little bit of lentils left to go in the next soup. Yesterday we said we did a little live stream on Facebook yesterday, and Michelle explained to people we bought, we were running out of cooking oil, and we had a little bit of stuff we had to fry to make a soup yesterday, and we bought a new bottle of cooking oil, and I won't let you explain, I'll explain it, but so Michelle opened the cooking oil, she put the last dribble into the pan, and then she topped it up with the new cooking oil, but she thought that came out a bit quick, that was a bit thin looking, and she came over to me and she said, smell this cooking oil. So I put it there, it was vinegar. So we not only ruined the oil that was in the pan, we had vinegar in there. So we thought, wow, it's the only fat we've got that we can sort of build a little fry up. So we cooked it, onions, little raviolis, and it was delicious. It was a little bit vinegary, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Ordinarily, we could have just popped downstairs and got a little bottle of oil, and we'd have been set to go. I am going to have another beer. This is my second beer of 2020. I had a beer with you the other night. This one is, I'm going to have a little beer. It didn't do me too good, that beer, you know. I don't drink a lot of beer, and it made me feel rough, but I do enjoy beer. I think this one could be, this is a Beaumonti, and lovely and chilled. I got a feeling it's a wheat beer. It looks a little bit like a wheat beer. So I'm going to enjoy myself a little drink while I chat to you. What else has been going on? I am thinking that I might do, you know, I talked to a few of you about cooking some non-yeasted breads. A lot of people have said to me about they can't get yeast. Apparently in some countries, particularly in the UK, they can't get yeast. Well, I've got a lot of videos.
Petri's asking, what's your choice of drink when you do drink?
Choice of drinks, I think, Petri, I really like a good beer, actually. And this is, as I say, it's only my second one of 2020. So cheers. Prost.
Anymore, don't you?
I prefer real ales. I don't really like lagers of any sort. I prefer proper real ales. I don't mind good stouts. And then on top of that, my next choice would be a good red wine. I love a decent red wine. I can't read all the comments that are going up. If you're throwing lots and lots of comments, if you've got questions, please go ahead and Michelle will read them out. But I'm sorry, I'm not really seeing the comments because the phone isn't that close to me. And cheers, my dear.
Michael Ellard says, waiting until 6 o'clock for a glass of wine.
Well, it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, so I think the sun's passed the yard on, what little sun we've had, and I'm good.
Pradeep's just got to go, so say goodbye to Pradeep.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, Pradeep. Take care.
Piper saying, beer bread, maybe.
No, that's a good idea, Piper, but I haven't got enough beer. I only had a...
Well, you haven't got an oven. Might be more.
I haven't got an oven, but no, we could use beer as a base to make the breads I make could be used. But I've got some ideas. What I thought I might do, actually, just try it here. So make sure my trousers are still on. Yeah, you never know, do you? You never know what I'm wearing. What I thought I might do is do a live rather than actually do a video, because I've got plenty of videos on bread making. How about if we came over here somehow using the kitchen? Ooh, look at the fruit I've got for later. Mulberries and strawberries again. It doesn't get boring, I tell you. Mulberries, strawberries, Turkish yogurt, and this gorgeous Hang on, I'm all over the place. I don't know what. And this gorgeous honey.
Mm-hmm.
This gorgeous honey. What's that?
I'm just laughing because you're all over the place.
And I've got honey. So I'm thinking maybe I could make some breads on our tiny little counter here. I'd have to clear some things out of the way. And I could do it live. It might take a bit of time, but I could show you how to make some really simple breads that are so delicious. And then people could interact and ask questions if they've got any questions, or just chat generally.
And they would, if they had it, they could make it along with you.
Yeah, maybe if I did it and said beforehand.
You don't need a lot of ingredients.
No, I'm talking about breads that basically just flour, water, and seasoning by way of salt. And maybe there's another one I could do, which would be more like if you've got no oven at all, I could do something similar to a naan. They're all on my channel, I think. Particularly my flatbreads have gone. I mean, they're up to 1 million views. They're a very popular old video of mine. But I can show you how to make them live, and then if you have questions, you can. Oh, hit that thumbs up while you're there. We've got 9 thumbs up. I always forget to say that.
So Petra said last couple of times I've gone to the store's been out of yeast. I never thought that would be hard to come by.
Yeah, this is what I've heard. Some people have said to me, "Oh, I can't make this. I've got no yeast." Of course, you could make a sourdough you could go and check out my sourdough videos, and if you want to go long haul, you could make some beautiful sourdough starter. Then you don't need any yeast, and you can make some of those lovely sourdough loaves that I made, the fruit loaf that I made, the overnight sourdough loaf that's on my channel, or the beautiful sourdough baguettes. So you could do that. I mean, it'll take you a week to 10 days to get the starter up and going.
Maxie Blake says, "Hi Steve and Michelle, I'm using winemaker's yeast. It's the same strain of yeasty beasties."
Yeah, it pretty much is, Maxie. I think you said to me, didn't you? I think you said to me in the comments, Maxie, about using. If it was you, I could be confused, but I'm pretty sure you said to me you were using winemaking. But any of the yeast will work. I mean, the beer making yeasts, they are slightly different. I think, but they certainly will work. And
so Sally H said, "Just please love the breads." S. Devram said that will be fun.
Yeah. Let's do. What day is it today? Sunday. I suppose every day is a Sunday, isn't it, for most people? We'll do it one day. We'll do it one day this week. I've got some lovely flour. I managed to get some flour, the same one that our baker uses for the simit. So I wanted to see what that flour. I've got to mix it up and see what the gluten content's like. I'm a bit of a bread nut sometimes, so it could get a bit boring.
And Alice says, "Love the shirt."
Thank you, Annie.
RNG said a 4-ounce bottle of yeast was $44.97 US on Amazon.
Wow, aren't people gouging? And that's mean-spirited. But there are many. You can make really nice breads without any yeast, and you can make them super quick. And the kids, if you've got kids and that, you can get them involved. But you can make breads. Our kids loved the flatbreads we used to make. They'd have them with Nutella, the peanut butter and jam. You can put anything on there. You can roll them with cheese. You can actually make them into little pizzas. So I'll show you how to make those. Most of you possibly know how to do it, but a bit of fun. Now you would need a strong bread flour, but actually if you've only got all-purpose flour, or what do you call it, plain flour, all-purpose flour, you could use that as well. It wouldn't really harm. So we could do that maybe sometime this week. Now I know it's super early for a lot of people on the west coast of the US, so they might not be up at the moment. So if you're watching this later on, chip in. Let us know what you think. I know some of you are still in bed.
S. Different said, "When I ask you stupid questions about the bread making, you can yell at me, Gordon Ramsay style."
Yeah, no, I won't do your Gordon Ramsay style. He was getting a bit of flack this week. One of the shows that I watched was saying this, all these celebrities in their sort of $1 million mansions, telling people how to sort of cook an egg and things, and they're saying, do we really, because I think people were getting a little bit tired of a lot of these celebrities that were sort of, saying how tough it was for them in their sort of, I think Gordon particularly got a mention. He's got a $6 million sort of country pad with a big sort of acreage of garden, and was trying to show people how to sort of tough it over the the coronavirus. There's different rules for people, aren't there? There's different rules. A lot of people are getting caught out at the moment and shown to be a little bit hypocritical. But no, we're not. We're like many of you might be. Modest size apartment. Well, ours is a tiny little apartment. And you've seen before in the soup I made, I've got some rubbish appliances, but I did buy a little rolling pin, so we could do it.
So Annie says it's 11:24 p.m. So that's in Australia.
Yeah.
And Tony Satterfield says watching from the US. Good morning. It's 8:25 a.m. here.
From where was that in the US?
US,
just in the US. That must be. I think that's possibly East Coast.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure the times over there. Maybe Central. I'm not sure if that's fully on the East Coast or not, but you can tell us if need be. So this is quite a nice Alabama, Arkansas. Just play some music.
Don't sing. Catherine Justice says equal parts baking soda and lemon juice / vinegar to equal the amount of yeast called for in the recipe.
Yeah, I mean, but the acidity, now that's if you're using baking soda or baking powder.
I might go back to soda.
The problem with that is if you use baking soda and put acidity of a lemon into it, you will very quickly disperse the bubbles, the carbon dioxide in this baking soda, and it may end up flattening out like a flat Coke. Whereas if you use baking powder, that has a coating on it that only activates at heat. So I would suggest don't use baking soda, but use baking powder. Baking powder has less soda in it, but it's protected with I get a bit boring on you, but it's got some coating. I forget the name. What's the thing you used to use in Play-Doh? Anyway, so that if you add the acidity into it, it won't fizz so quickly, and it will stay cream of tartar. It has a little cream of tartar in it to, I think, coat it on the outside. So that's the only real difference between baking powder and baking soda. So yes, be careful. If you use acid with baking soda, you've got to cook like soda breads. You've got to cook them really quickly because that stuff will go flat so quickly. But you can. I would say you don't even need the lemon, to be honest. The acidity or the acidity of the flour and water mix will do it. Will do the rise, but you won't really get. What was the third? Was there a third ingredient in there?
No, equal parts baking soda and lemon juice / vinegar. So that's it.
Yeah, no, that will work for your pancake batters. It'll work for a soda bread to a degree, but if you leave the batter too long, it'll just go flat as a pancake, and you might as well not have put it in there. All you're going to have is sort of lemony bread. Better with those sort of things to work quickly with them.
Maxi Bloke says 2:30 in the UK, sitting in the sun on the balcony, getting some vitamin D. Hubby's drinking a home brewed ale.
Oh, nice, Maxi! Look at all the people. I don't know. You can see out here. Oh, he's gone in now. Is that camera in line? There was a guy out on the balcony just now. There was one of the old timers that's been forced to stay indoors. Like I was saying, title of the video basically. Teenagers in the whole of Turkey have been told not to go out for the last, I think since the second, third of the month. So they'll be bouncing off the walls. They're not even allowed to go out for a walk or get any exercise. And Istanbul is Istanbul. This part of Istanbul anyway is particularly apartments. A lot of apartments and not ideal.
Maxie says at least it's sunny there. It is now.
It is now. We have had some of the most horrendously cold weather. It's some of that sort of really miserable wet weather, and this last, and I think that's one of the reasons they locked everything down into curfew. This weekend's been beautiful, and we have not been able to go out in it at all. We've been stuck in here, but we can get bread.
Mert Dillman said the Armenian community, especially in your area, celebrates Easter. You'll probably find bagels looking like regular pokhaches, which is especially cooked for Easter as a tradition in bakery shops nearby.
Okay, well, the problem is at the moment the bakery shops are open, but they've only got, our one's was a lovely bake as you walked inside. Most of them now have closed off the front, so you can only just go in as very partially into the shop. Our one's only got about a metre that you can walk into, and then it's all tented off with a little hole, a little perspex sort of opening, and you have to put your money through and get your things. So you don't really get the you don't get to sort of browse the breads as you used to, and it's all gone a bit pear-shaped. So even for those people, it would have been a tough weekend. Probably spoiled a lot of the events that might have happened. But then again, I think maybe if they were get-together events, it's not such a bad thing.
And Mio says, "Bello, Steve and Michelle, great to catch you live again. How lucky do you have nice neighbours?"
Yeah, we do have nice neighbours. We haven't got an exact neighbour, but on this street, we've got lovely people. I mean, we're friendly. Excuse me, the gas. I'm getting gassy now from this. It is a wheat beer, by the way, for those of you that wanted to know. Well, it's a little wheaty. It's a little bit like sort of orangy boom sort of thing, but not quite so floral, not quite so. It's not got the sort of the floral notes to it, but not bad. I suspect they're not the best of beers, but yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Andre said, "Usually before this weekend, the kids of the professors are allowed to play on the street of the campus. Great to hear the kids playing outside while teaching on Zoom."
Yeah, well, they've knocked all that on the head, haven't they? They've knocked all that on the head. Now, some people have said in the comments to me that quite a few people were sort of, very sort of dismissive of the 48-hour lockdown. But, like I said yesterday, I think what they're not appreciating is that nobody had notice. This is a city of 20 to 27 million, depending on whichever figures you look, and nobody had any notice. They had about a 1 hour notice saying in 1 hour's time. And just imagine if you were a young mother, maybe that doesn't, that's using a formula milk. You might find that she only goes out once a week on a weekend to sort of stock up, and maybe she was going Saturday morning, and then got told, you can't. It's everything shut down for the whole weekend. You might be a pensioner that only gets a delivery from your family on a Saturday, and they had no prior warning at all. So there are lots of reasons why it wasn't really the smartest thing to do, and it's lots of reasons why what actually happened is everybody just rushed out on the street to try and get stuff. They all panicked, and the vegetables on the store around the corner from us was just, they were just all. And it wasn't, nobody was piling stuff. They weren't being disrespectful and piling stuff up, but so they weren't trying to sort of take 500 toilet rolls out the shop or anything. They just wanted stuff for the weekend, so they all went out and bought it. And the problem was, because they only had some of them only knew an hour before closing, or an hour before midnight, they were all sort of hustled together. I think all the social distancing just went out the window. So in reality, the only thing that possibly could have done is made the fastest sort of cross-contamination across Istanbul that's going to happen during the whole of this pandemic. So not the smartest call, I think, and that's actually what I get. But people have been really good. There were some sort of slight sort of fracas going on. Maybe people were getting a little bit irate. And there was some mates rate stuff going on. I saw people sort of maybe hop in the queue to because they knew the shopkeeper and things like that, or calling in and getting stuff put aside. But it wasn't that bad. It just at the time just felt a little bit surreal, because we were sat in here, Michelle and I. We were virtually out of water. We just put the last bit of water in our flasks, and we were virtually out of water. And I said, "There's a lot of people on the streets with bags of shopping. It's like 10:30 at night. It's pitch black outside, and there's people walking up and down." Hey, moms, how are you? Moon over Miami, how are you?
Jelly Duck says, "Hope you're doing safe.
Jelly Duck,
good to see you."
Good, mate. Good to see you. Hope you're well. I hope everybody's well. I hope everybody's keeping positive. And
Chris Carton says, "Will you and Michelle try to leave Turkey after lockdown, or do you still plan to go back to exploring around?"
No, we definitely want to stay and explore how the visas will pan out, because we've been told that they're extending the visas for anybody that's here over the lockdown period. So we shouldn't get in any bother if our visas run out. but I don't really want to just say, oh, lockdown's over, get out. You know, I want to explore Turkey. So no, we'll definitely be exploring. That's what we came here for. And you know, we had a few days when we arrived where it was still all hunky-dory and it was beautiful. We were having such good food.
Oh, yeah,
We were on, we just
finding our feet, weren't we?
we're just finding our feet and thinking what we could film. There was a beautiful there's on the fish on the wharf at the front of near the ferries. They're fishing off the water there in is it the Bosphorus? I'm not sure. It might not be, but it's there's a big mass of water down there. And just back from there, they're selling mackerel. They're cooking it on the street. And the guy's very sort of deftly taking out all the bones and cooking it up, and then they put it into a bun with a pomegranate salad. And I must have had 4 of those in about 4 days.
We're just working out, we can come down here and film and get this and get that, and then it all closed.
Yes.
All disappeared.
And we got a new gimbal to do some sort of nice shots and things. We thought we might try that, mind you. That will still happen. Yeah. We definitely want to stay in Turkey, but we would have probably been leaving Turkey by now, or maybe, no, we might have been here still. We would have been thinking of moving on from Turkey because we were going to head through some of the other European countries on our way to do the Santiago, the Camino de Santiago. I always start the other way around. Or the Saint-Jacques, the French call it something Saint-Jacques, I think. So, any questions?
Happy Easter. You guys are great. Just giving us £5.
Oh, Mio, thank you very much. I shall buy some chocolate with that.
It's Easter and we have no chocolate.
No chocolate on Easter. How about that?
How bad is that?
I possibly could have got some the day before, but I said to Michelle, we've got to be careful. We're over snacking at the moment. And thank you. That's very kind of you. We will use that towards something fun on Easter. And
Ismail says, don't forget to eat baklava.
I have had some baklava. It's not been my favourite baklava so far. I wanted to really wait and get some advice from someone to get the best baklava, and I bought some in a little shop, and it was very, very, very sugary. I've seen some long comments further up, Michelle.
Yeah,
are there people?
I'm trying to waiting for pause.
Okay, so that was really a bit sweet and sickly, and there wasn't a lot of sort of flavour and that in it. So I haven't had the best baklava yet, but we will do.
Chemin de Saint-Jacques. Thank you, Chris.
Chemin. Ah, yeah. Chemin means pathway, I think, or way. So yeah, I should remember that really. I do understand in French. That's Chemin de Saint-Jacques. So the pathway of Saint-Jacques.
Mert was saying, by the way, simit is made with regular dough, as we all know. Only difference is before you get your simit into the oven, you should dip it into pekmez.
Yes.
And sesame. You can find both in the grocery store.
I don't know what pekmez is, but I think pekmez is probably something similar to a baking soda, or maybe even some sort of caustic mixture similar to they use in. We'll check it out, Michelle. Can you check out pekmez?
I will do.
And because I know how to make bagels and that type of bread and pretzels and bretzels and bretzen. So yeah, we will definitely be looking into. Now I would imagine, and that's why I wanted the flour. They couldn't understand why I wanted. Oh, it's a molasses. So yeah, they often use molasses also in a lot of bagels, when they often use a molasses mix, or malt sometimes with baking soda, just to get that sort of slightly elastic outside to a bagel or a pretzel sometimes.
Piper says no chocolate, just wrong. Yes, I agree with you, Piper.
No, we've got no chocolate. We've got not even any snacks really.
No,
we've got some lovely fruit.
Some fruit.
But yeah, not any snacks. But that's good. We've eaten too much rubbish on this journey. If you ask a question and Michelle misses it, I can always throw this at Michelle from here, and you just tell me. And if I can probably hear her, she's just over there. Shouldn't be too much trouble. There she is.
Esther says, Stephen, Michelle, if I remember correctly, you had flu 2 weeks ago. Weren't you at least a little bit worried that it was COVID-19? I know for sure I would be.
Michelle didn't have anything, and I probably had man flu.
You definitely had man
So yeah, I think it was. You know,
thank you, Aaron. $50 from Aaron.
Oh, wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you very much. How kind. Oh, we're going to have an Easter.
Yes, certainly.
When we get off, we'll have some Easter treats. Thank you very much. We'll put that all towards maybe little Easter treat when the lockdown comes down. So yes, I wasn't really worried. What I had didn't reflect the known sort of symptoms that you have with the coronavirus. It was similar to what I've had in the past, and it wasn't so bad. It did, like any of these sort of colds you get, whether it's sort of coldy flu sort of things, it knocks you for six a little bit. And of course, because you're male, you've always got to sort of milk it.
Well, we've been moving around a little bit as well, so just
we were a bit it's often quite tiring when you're doing a lot of moving, and thank you, you two. That's really sweet. Thank you very much.
So Andre says, careful with baklava. If sugar has crystallized, and it will give you a very nasty belly.
Yeah, I've got to find good baklava. I haven't had any really good baklava here in Turkey, but I haven't had a lot. I have had some fantastic Turkish delight, way too much of that.
Well, that is very nice.
Very nice.
Just quickly, Jan A says, just a quick hello, Stephen, Michelle, and to wish we're getting ready for online Easter church service. Still going to wear my fancy Easter hat.
Your Easter bonnet. How beautiful. What's that song, Easter Bonnet? Yeah. Anyway, you probably don't want me to sing. So yes, we will. Eric. Just saw Eric come in. How are you, mate?
Yeah.
There's a question from Eric, was there? Or no, don't have to rush. You can do the questions in order.
Chris Garton said, are you going to do some baking videos? Didn't know about simmer before. How will you bake?
I haven't got an oven, but I will be doing. I'm going to be sneaking in when they calm down a little bit. I'm going to try and see if the baker will show me his simmet making technique, and I actually have got some flour that comes from not his bakery, somewhere else. I got the flour, but it's the flour they use. So I'm a little bit sort of what's the word? Sorry, the camera's on my laptop, so it's moving around. I would say a little bit anal about knowing what flour is, so I'm probably going to get the flour and just mix it with some water and see what sort of content of because although yes, pretty much any flour can be used for simmet. We have two simmet bakers near us. No, we have lots. We actually have more, but there are two that are very close to us. And one of them bakes his simmet, and it tastes so different to the other guys. I mean, they're chalk and cheese. One of them, when you cut it open, it's got very fine bubbles in the crumb. It's not as elastic. It's not as chewy. Not like, you know how a bagel sort of has that bite. The guy below us has that real sort of bite to it, and you can break the bread and tear it. It stretches open. The other guy, his ones are thinner. He doesn't make them quite so thick, which is a clue. And also, when you cut through the crumb, it looks almost like going through a Victoria sponge. It's a very close crumb in it. And I'm pretty sure that he will be using something closer to a plain or cake flour for his simmet. The guy below me, he makes, to be honest, a better simmet. It's got the right consistency to me, so I'd be interested to see how he makes it. So yes, so I wanted to get his flour, and I've managed to get some from a source.
So Eric says, no one on earth can survive without snack and chocolate. You're in my thoughts and prayers.
Yes, Eric, we are suffering. Michelle said to me she could really. I tell you, there's nice chocolate here as well. They do a whole range of, I don't know if you get the Ritter Sport in countries where you are. I know they sell them in most countries. The Ritter Sport are like a sort of square cube of chocolate. And they have, they don't actually have Ritter Sport here, but they have dozens of versions of chocolate that are that same style, all different brands. And we've had 2 or 3 of them just out of scientific research reasons, obviously, not because we like chocolate. And they've been delicious. So the chocolate here is really nice. And the best ones I've got pistachio, like roasted pistachios inside the chocolate. Now, I prefer milk chocolate to dark chocolate. I know a lot of people will think that's sacrilege, but I had the dark chocolate one because one of the girls here recommended it, and it was delicious. But then I went the next day, well, maybe a couple of days later, and got the milk chocolate version with little pistachio nuts inside it. and they're roasted dark, so the flavour's really good, and the milk chocolate one was much better, I think.
So Riley Stokes says, what have you been doing to entertain yourself? Buying chocolate by the sounds of things.
Hi Riley, how are you? We've just, up until a couple of days ago, we go for a big walk every day just to try and keep exercise. Michelle and I, when we travelled around the world for the first two or three, no, actually we've been going for 5 years now. About 2 years in, we got some skipping ropes. We bought some skipping ropes from a sports place, very lightweight ones, and we took them all around Australia when we were touring around Australia the year before or last year, and we would just keep fit by skipping in the sort of red dust of the outback of Australia. Sort of dust would be going up, and then we realised, sort of after dragging these things around, even though they were small, that you didn't really need the rope, and actually it was a lot easier just to skip. You should try this if you haven't tried it before. Just pretend to skip. It gave you exactly the same workout, and you didn't have to carry the rope. So we've been doing a bit of that, haven't we?
We have.
Skipping like a pair of
Virtual skipping.
we have to go because there's only one virtual rope, so we have to go one at a time. I let Michelle borrow it after I've gone.
A few people said hi. Harold Finch says hi.
Harold, how are you?
Bear says hi.
Macbear? Macbar, yeah.
Macbar, sorry.
Kev is in. Kevin Island, Quantum Entitlement. Chris Hereford, how are you? Chris Garton, Piper, we knows in. Riley, Oren.
Chris Hereford from Ooty.
Chris from Ooty. I don't think we met, did we, Chris? We were in Ooty. I've actually been working on my Ooty videos just recently. Good old Ooty. We were just doing a video in the municipal market down on the bottom there, near the lake. So Michelle and I, near the clock tower. So just by the clock tower entrance, we went into Ooty and we filmed going around the market there. It was really fun. So I've been working on that video. I'm just a bit unsure when to put those up at the moment, because it seems a little bit like they seem a bit out of vogue. So I'll see. I will do them not too far off. I want to.
Orange G says, are you all coffee drinkers? I can't remember.
Coffee drink, absolutely. Big coffee fans.
Had Turkish coffee in New York City years ago, so good.
We had Turkish coffee in Telcel. Turkish Telecom the other day when I went to get a SIM card so I can do these live shows. The girl was really sweet and she made us a Turkish coffee, all social distancing adhered to, but she made us a lovely Turkish coffee, and yeah, that was nice. So
Chris Hereford says, aren't you going to open another bottle of beer? We've still got lots of
No, I'm not a big drinker, Chris. I can only really go, one of these will do, and I'll probably be sozzled on this, so I'll just top this one up. I'm not a big drinker. I could, I mean, if I'm not in the day, but I don't drink very much. This is only my second beer of 2020, as far as I can remember, and it does mean that it goes straight to my head.
So just reading, it says, Kev Island said, I was just watching you get crushed on your Japanese massage chair.
That's a funny, that video was a lot of fun. Michelle will put the link down there, Kev, unless you've got it there, but that was a lot of fun.
You've been watching it.
I was in, that was a big shopping mall in Japan, and I went there the first day, and the guys were really sweet. They just say, jump on the massage, you know. Many places you go to, they don't really want you using the chairs, but there, they just said, oh, get in the chair. And I got on this massage chair, and my Lord, was it like painful, in a good way, I suppose. So I said to Michelle, we have to go back tomorrow and film that. So you've just been watching that, me getting pummeled to death in a $3,000-$4,000 massage chair. So the most, I think I titled the video, the most, it was crazy expensive. Very expensive massage, but a lot of fun. I did ache the next day, mind you. I did ache the next day.
And Mia says, I enjoyed watching the egg coffee vlog.
Yeah, the egg coffees always does well. People are always fascinated by that. Was it 5,000? Yeah, that was. I forget how much it was in different currencies. I remember in Japan, I thought to myself, that's an expensive massage I've just had, and it was going up my back, you know, oh, and it really hurt. But it did everything. It squeezed your leg, calves, it sort of massaged your calves and your feet, the balls of your feet. Oh, you just remember the balls of my feet. That was so sore. That was actually the most painful part of that massage, was when it put like this into the ball of your foot and run. Oh, it crushed, and it was squeezing them at the same time. So it squeezed. I got quite broad feet. I got broad hands, broad feet, broad, you know, broad everything. But you know, so it was crushing my feet to sort of like the size of a, you know, a geisha girl's foot, and then it was like hitting me with a pool cue in the middle of my toes. It was pretty sore.
Quantum entanglement in magnetic surfaces says it's okay to do the video. Give us some normality with our love for food and those things you can show us.
Yeah, we'll do. I think we will do that cooking, and I'll just do it live like this. It might be a bit of a.
I think he was talking about doing the Indian videos. It's okay to.
Yes. Yeah, we'll just have to fit things in. Have you enjoyed a Thai massage? Yes, we've had many Thai massages, and we've had massages all over the world because, you know, obviously for research reasons.
Becky Johnson says, "Happy Easter. I hope things are calming down around you."
Yes and no. I mean, it's just got a little more intense in Turkey rather than less. It's probably the most tense it's been. People are not out on the streets unless they're carrying a loaf of bread because the bread shops are open. Possibly one of the nicest massages I can remember having was in Malaysia, in Penang.
Yes, that was a very nice one. And we had a nice one in Bali as well.
Yes, we've had some good massages, but the one in Malaysia was a particularly special one. It was in the Rasa Siam hotel, and it was delightful, at least.
So Maureen W says, lockdown here in Michigan.
Hello, Maureen. Michigan.
Garden because we're not allowed to buy seeds, no fishing, can't go to second home even after being locked down for 4 weeks.
Second home? What are you, politician? Maureen, Michigan, is the snow, is it all thawed? We were in Michigan, up in Holland, Michigan, but that was actually in the Thanksgiving time, so that would have been back in the later end of the year. And it was so beautiful. We were talking to someone just the other day about Michigan. One of my favourite parts of the US, and good friends of ours, Dave and Shirley, live up there.
It'd be lovely to go back in the summer if you went in the winter.
Would be nice. I like the snow.
Nice. It was very nice.
But I suppose we are getting into spring, aren't we? And David said to me, Dave said that he's getting out on some walks and doing lots of good walks.
So Eric says you need to re-up your beer supply. You drank 2/3 of it in a couple of days.
I probably won't. I've got 3 bottles that I got to do some sort of live shows, and thought I might have a beer and a chat. And I can feel the beer. I don't know what percentage this one is. Probably not that much. Maybe 5.5. But
so Chris Hereford says, I'm like you then, just 1 bottle for me. Thank you for answering the question. I joined late, so I didn't see you open the bottle.
Yeah, this is the bottle. It's so they're a big bottle, quite a big size bottle. I'd say it's probably I can't see any of the sizes or it's half a litre bottle, and I can't see what percentage it is, but I can tell by drinking it that it's got that sort of, 5% and above. It's got quite a kick to it.
And Tony says you guys are doing an amazing job responding to everyone. What a great live stream. Thanks, Steve and Michelle.
Thanks, Tony. Which Tony is that?
Tony Satterfield.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
Chris says, still have to watch your Japan series, just finishing the Australian series. I like how you have everything in playlist. Makes it easy when you want to watch something specific.
Oh, that's good to hear, because we do that, and I never really know. We never know if it works. Everything. I'd love to see if any of you get to watch the Aussie series. It was a lot of fun. Driving all around. We took almost a year driving around Australia, and we produced quite a lot of videos. Probably not as many as I would do now, because I've got a little bit more into filming. But the Aussie videos were a lot of fun. Even cooking in the outback, I show you how to make we got very good at using the campfire cooking. So we were just saying the other day how I was making bread rolls in the outback, beautiful little brochen, little dome bread rolls in a little flower formation, putting it in the cast iron pot or the Dutch oven and cooking it there. That was a lot of fun.
So Maxie Blake says, sorry to hear that, Maureen. 4 weeks fed up already after 3 weeks here in the UK. Stay safe.
Yeah, it's hard for everybody, and you know, we're all in the same boat, apart from the odd politician who seems to be sort of gallivanting off to their country piles every other day. I was very surprised to hear that the politicians in the UK, Maxi, have given themselves an extra £10,000 when everyone's doing so hard. That does seem a little bit inappropriate. Anyway,
Piper says
save that for another.
Everyone give Steve a thumbs up.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up.
Hit that.
Hit that thumbs up. Thank you very much, and thank you for those 2 donations that were given earlier on. That was a welcome. Michelle and I will probably be eating our weight in chocolate.
Yes, that was special. So Chris Hereford says, have you got down to making your own bread like you said you would on Friday?
I've been playing with things. We were just talking about that. Was it Chris? Did you say?
Chris.
We were just talking, Chris. What I might do, because I don't really feel like making cooking videos too much. There's not the room. I haven't got the equipment. But what I thought I might do in the next week is do a live show like this and make some yeast-free bread, some very easy breads, simple ingredients that you can make at home. Maybe if any of you are with kids, you can show them, get them involved. If you're not with kids, you can just have an experiment. Bear in mind, we have no oven. We have a microwave, which I don't know we haven't used yet.
You found a substitute for a bowl, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got some, we've got no bowls, no mixing equipment at all, but I can still make good bread. So we'll do a little video and we will show you how to make some easy peasy breads during this lockdown period. And I was saying to Michelle, maybe we should do some cooking shows from here, but it's hard, you know, we haven't got our equipment. I haven't got a larder where I can just pop in and get some, vanilla extract or anything like that. So it means we've got to buy absolutely everything. It's not going to be super easy, but so I'll do what we can. Okay.
So RNG says you all have a favourite comfort food?
Pardon me?
Do you all have a favourite comfort food?
I have one food that I wouldn't mind having. Michelle knows my favourite dish. That would be nice.
Sausages.
No, not sausages, but sausages, yes. It's got to be a combination. For me, my favourite food has always been, I don't know why, it's probably just something from when I was a kid, would be really good English style sausages. I don't mean the American stuff that's sliced, I mean proper Cumberland type bangers, mashed potato, and got to be tinned tomatoes. Brown sauce as well. That would be my comfort food. It's ridiculous, but I just love it, and I wouldn't eat it all the time, but when I haven't had it for a month or so, that's something I really enjoy. But the sausages will make it. Michelle and I used to keep our own pigs and do all our own processing, and we used to make all our own sausages. Probably some of the best sausages I've had are the ones we made, but it's got to be a certain type of sausage. If those of you know a good Cumberland sausage, a good English style sausage like a chipolata or something, that's what I like. And it's ridiculously plain, but it's good. But right now, I was going the other day. I was saying to you, I really fancy like a pork chop, yeah, done on a griddle with a nice bit of caramelization on the surface of the skin. Not really. We've not eaten a lot of meat. We were saying the other day, I don't think we've had more than a tiny piece of meat in the last good few months. So we're almost vegetarian. I'm sort of erring towards vegan. But I do miss a good. My mother the other day, she mentioned to me that she was doing liver and onions, and I thought, oh, that sounds nice. I do like liver and onions. Michelle hates liver and onions. She cooks it well though. She actually cooks it. She cooks it well. But just
Nadine says hi.
Not as good as I cook it. But there you go.
Say hi to Nadine.
Nadine, hi. How are you? If you haven't had a hello from me and you wanted to say hello, quickly say it now so I don't miss you. I think I've seen.
Quantum says I love pan bread on cast iron too. Yummy.
Yeah.
Eric says, do you have to travel to do laundry? No, I have a washing machine.
We have a washing machine. We have a dishwasher which we don't use because it's just two of us.
I normally just wash by hand. I don't even go to the laundry.
We don't really. You know, we never in 5 years. We generally, well, mostly Michelle. I have to be honest. She's an absolute star. She washes most stuff by hand. Never lets anything. What was that? Liver and onions? Somebody said.
Oh my God, I had liver and onions yesterday.
Oh, really, Maxie?
All right, Maxie.
Yeah. I love, you know, people haven't had liver and onions, and I always make an onion gravy with it, Maxie. I know that's probably another thing Michelle does not like, but I do an onion gravy, very basic food. Some of those old dishes are some of the best dishes that, you know, I've got a recipe. You just reminded me, I made a recipe for a lardy cake. Lardy cake is an old English cake that's made with lard and delicious. There's a recipe. There's a link. I'll get Michelle to chuck it in. Did somebody just?
Quantum just gave us $10. Thanks for all the video.
Thank you, Quantum.
Enjoy the food.
Thank you very much. So sweet of you. We're putting this towards indulging ourselves on the Easter front, I think. So thank you. If we ever get out of this place. If we ever get out of this place. See, Michelle sings it as well. Girl, there's a better.
So let's go back to there's lots of questions I'm missing. You're talking too long, Steve. So
bacon, yes, bacon. I actually, sorry, was that Maxie again? I can do it without. I can quite happily go without bacon. My mother will always have bacon with liver and onions. I can go. I love liver so much with fava beans and you know, Chianti or whatever he says. So I can quite happily without the bacon. Mum always loves it with the bacon. Sorry.
Ozcal says hello from New York Elmhurst. We're locked in the house. God knows how long I wish I am in Istanbul.
Well, if you were in Istanbul at the moment, you would also be locked in the house. But hello to you all. Thank you very much.
Moon over Miami says thumbs up and hashtag May 1st Open America. That's obviously a hashtag that they're using. We hope May 1st. That would be cool.
Possibly, that would be great. Moon over Miami's been a follower for quite some time, and you'll see I refer to her as Mom, M-O-M. Just easier than typing Moon over Miami. So Moon over Miami is always the person in my comments that I write moms to. So just in case you think that Moon over Miami is my mother, they are not my mother. They're just that's their nickname they have from me.
So Mert says, have you been worried about stucking in India? Some Turkish citizens stuck there making videos about India forcing foreigners into overcrowded quarantine facilities with no sanitation measures at all.
Excuse me just a minute, I just dropped something. Just need to give my nose a quick blow. Can you say that again, Michelle?
Have you been worried about getting stuck in India? Some Turkish citizens stuck there making videos about India forcing foreigners into overcrowded quarantine facilities with no sanitation measures at all.
I will answer that in a minute. My friend Emre's just walked past and he yesterday had a beautiful head of hair and today he's just walked down the road, he shaved his hair off. I don't know what that's all about. Yeah, I've heard some mixed stories from India. I've got some friends there that are still there and it's all pretty much the same. Do beware that the media do tend to love to move their lens towards the misery. If they could see something really unpleasant to film over there, and everybody to the right of them was having a wonderful time, they literally you couldn't unglue their lens from the misery. So I think I'll try and reach out to a few friends who are still in India, but it's possibly true, but I need to do some research. I never ever take anything that I read in the media seriously until I've had very first-hand. There's been so much stuff that's going out lately that is clearly untrue when you further research it. So I probably am happy that we're in Turkey rather than in India because of the infrastructure there. It probably would have been harder. So we were probably a little fortunate that we left India just at that time, but we missed India the moment we got out. So, you know, it is what it is. I'll talk with Anna and a few others and see how it's going.
Maxie Blake said thumbs up on the phone and the tablet. Thank you, Maxie. Chris,
Thumbs up.
Chris says that's what I love about bread. All you need is flour, water and salt. Sometimes you make the dough directly on the table without a bowl. Just pour the flour and make a well for the water. Put it on the barbecue.
Yes, that I was thinking of doing that way, but you know, I haven't got a very big counter, and if it runs, I'll be sort of chasing it all over the place. But yes, it's a bit like making pasta when you put the eggs in the centre. Little trickier. It's usually a little easier. I find it a little easier to start it off in a bowl, just to get it going, get it to start to bind together, and then I put it onto the counter. But you don't need a bowl, you can absolutely do it. But if you're filming it, you have to kind of try to make things look as if you know what you're doing, and chasing water all around the bowl just ends up looking a bit fun and games. As a rule, I would, if I would probably make a little pile, make anything, and start dragging the fork through to get it up. But it's easier sometimes. Oh, so he's out feeding the cats again. That's why he's out there. It's easier sometimes to have a slightly wetter dough and add a little flour to it than it is to have a very dry dough and trying to add water to it. So
Andre says, how much do you guys miss a good old full English breakfast?
When we were in Thailand last year, I can't remember when. It doesn't seem that long ago. We went to visit some friends down in Pattaya in Thailand, and it's remarkable just how many restaurants sell a good English breakfast, and a really good English breakfast. And I think how many times we have English breakfast? Like dozens of times.
Oh yes.
Was my favourite. I mean, that was my big sort of joy. Even when I'm in Australia, I love to try and get the black pudding and do a proper full English breakfast. And quite a few of the places in Thailand, they'll actually do that full English experience, do the fried mushrooms and the black pudding and fried onion, fried tomatoes as well. So yeah, no, I miss it, but not so much. I probably haven't given it a lot of consideration in the last few weeks.
Quantum says, sorry, YouTube puts there is a limit on my super chat donations, so can't give more. So weird.
Oh, that's
don't
right.
Worry, that was lovely that you gave us what you gave
Thank
us.
you very much. Anything is welcome. We rarely get super chats like that. Now, I should say, and I hope you don't mind me saying, Maxi actually sent. No, it wasn't Maxi. Sorry, Maxi. Somebody sent me Tony sent me something on the PayPal link that was on a video some time ago, and I was really naughty because we've been traveling and I didn't notice it come through, so I missed a little payment. They said, oh, go out and get a treat. And a good friend of ours, Rick, who I've mentioned several times on my videos, he also sent us some money to go out and get a meal a little while ago. So we really appreciate it. It was quite unexpected and really nice, very good. So we've got to sort of one day do a big thank you, and certainly it's much appreciated.
So Chris Hereford said, I made some nice hot cross buns on Friday. I was feeling guilty eating one this morning, thinking of you both so far away from home at Easter.
I know, we've had none. Normally in Australia, you'd be getting your hot cross buns coming straight after Christmas. Yeah. Probably early January, the hot cross buns, and by Easter time, you're sick to the back teeth of them. That's one thing. But actually, I like making hot cross buns. I've got a video for at least maybe 2 hot cross buns on the channel. I like the chocolate ones that I make. And there's a real trick to making the chocolate hot cross buns. You need to know there's 1 or 2 very simple tricks to make really good ones. You can't just chuck it all in there like you can with other normal hot cross buns. So if you want to try a really good chocolate hot cross bun, get on the channel. Michelle can probably put the link there, but I don't want to fill the thing up with links.
A couple of Kev Island says we're talking about maybe the hair, forgot to put his wig on today.
Yeah, maybe.
And Maxi Blake said he probably shaved his head because the barbers are going to be shut for a while.
That actually is true. They are shut, so maybe he just had enough and went and shaved it. He definitely hasn't.
Kev Island says I was thinking of doing the same thing, to be honest.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't done it looks a bit patchy. He's not taking it right back to bald. He's left it short enough that it looks like he's done it maybe in the mirror. He's definitely done it himself.
And Maxie Blake says, my hubby and son have done it already. Take care, Kev. And Kev says, I'm definitely going to shave my head tomorrow. You stay safe too.
You know, I'm pretty thin on top. So the hair isn't so thick, but I have shaved it before. Michelle didn't like it very much. She said it didn't look so good. So I probably, and subsequently, I've never bothered doing it. One day I might give it a go again.
Also, you shaved it, and then we went out in the really hot sun with sunstroke.
Yeah, I did. We were in Hawaii, in Waikiki Beach, and I just sort of said. What's that Kev saying?
Well, they're having a little chat. Says PayPal's the way to go. YouTube take 25% of Super Chat donations, and Piper says that's insane. And Esther said, "What 25% is that? Can't possibly be true." And Kev says, "I've heard several live streamers say they take 25%. Could possibly be wrong though."
Look, there are fees and things that are done with all these platforms, but you know, it doesn't matter with us. It's all good. It's very good. We don't get many donations, so it won't affect us greatly. But anything we do get like that is just a joy. So what was I saying? Yeah, and so I actually had this ridiculous idea of one night. We were traveling with 3 children. We've been traveling around the world for quite some time. So we traveled with our kids. We did 3 years traveling like hobos around the world. We were in Hawaii. Everybody had gone to bed. I thought I'd see whether I could shave my hair, go for this sort of like, I think I would probably thought I was doing a Miami Vice thing at the moment, probably looked more like sort of Steptoe and Son, but I thought I'd shave my hair and let the kids see and Michelle what it was like in the morning. But of course, it's not actually that easy to shave your hair. My hair on the side's particularly thick as well. It would have been thicker back then. So yeah, I started, you know, hacking away. I think we had this, I don't know, ridiculous little cutter that we travelled with, and couldn't really do it properly. So there were tufts here and tufts there, all rather messed up, and I was absolutely exhausted. So I went to bed. Of course, woke up in the morning, and this lot, the family looked at me like, "Oh my lord!" So that didn't go so well. So then I had to get Michelle to finish it off, and I don't probably look that good.
Piper's asking, anyone ever found cross buns in the US?
Yeah, you guys answer that. I've never been in the US in Easter, or might have been there Easter. No, because we've often been there. We've
done the fall.
When we were the children, we were there at Halloween, so that wouldn't have been hot cross bun time. So yeah, I don't know, but they are easy to make. And is hot cross buns a thing in America? Is that a particularly English and Australian thing? I don't know. I don't know if Americans have hot cross buns. Certainly, since I've done the video, I've actually shown people how to make. I've had Americans write to me and said they've made hot cross buns and they love them. They're delicious. They're a very lightly spiced, not very heavily spiced for those Americans that don't know. A very lightly spiced, almost like a milk bun, very soft with fruit in it generally. The best hot cross buns also have candied peel in them, a little bit of good quality candied peel, like the one I make at home. And also in Australia, we over the last maybe 10 years or so, that the Aussies have started putting a lot more chocolate hot cross buns, and chocolate and orange with candied peel, and they're very popular. They're not really hot cross buns, to be honest. They're a bit of a joke because they're not a hot cross bun, but they do taste nice, and I've got a video there if you want to give it a try.
But the Aussies also make fruitless hot cross buns.
In our Aussie supermarkets, they make a fruitless hot cross bun, and that is the stupidest hot cross bun that's ever made. It's a bun. It isn't. It's got a cross on it, but it's a bun. It's quite disgusting. It's not, no, because hot cross buns are really lightly seasoned. If they're over seasoned, I mean with spices such as cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, those sort of flavors. If they're over spiced, they're not a hot cross bun. So that's just the rules. Them's the rules. So if you go and take all the fruit out of it, it's just a bun. It's horrible. But they sell, because a lot of people are pernickety and they
Yeah,
don't like
raisins.
fruit and they don't like raisins. I don't like this. You know what it's like. Everyone, there's all the I don't like. People don't like this. They don't like that. And so they came up with this idea and they completely destroyed a tradition. They kind of destroyed it by doing a chocolate hot cross bun, but actually by far the most popular hot cross buns that sell in the stores in Oz are the proper fruit ones.
Moon over Miami says, have you tried Turkish pastrama, original pastrama, i.e. pastrami, made from camel? Now made with beef or lamb. Turkish has lots of paprika.
No, to answer simply, we haven't had a big range of Turkish food. I was very surprised that the Turkish delight here is not that sweet. So I'm pleasantly surprised, because the Turkish delight I've had overseas has always been quite sugary, but here it's not that sweet. So I'm looking forward to trying Turkish things, in authentic Turkish food in Turkey. I've never had a simit before, and I love that type of bread, so I particularly indulged. But no, we just haven't, because we weren't here more than a week before all this nonsense started, and it all slowed down.
It takes a little while to find out where everything is, all the best stores.
Yeah, I think after the shutdown we'll be certainly exploring and trying. So thank you. I'll make a note of that. So it's like a cured meat done with camel, with did I hear you say paprika in it? There is
that store down by the waterfront.
Yeah, there's some great stores. They've all shut down, but we almost had, all along the waterfront. They sell mussels, like there are mussels steaming. You know, the shellfish. If those of you know, why am I telling you? You know what mussels are. So they're piles and piles of mussels, and I'm always a bit wary about buying shellfish from a source that I don't know very well. So I didn't get any. But since the shutdown, somebody said to me they're not actually mussels, that inside them there is a, I don't know whether it's a rice or a flour with cinnamon, and there's a name for them in Turkish, and they're very famous. I haven't tried them yet, and no doubt you'll be seeing it at some point. Hit that thumbs up. Come on, let's get
so
some.
Maxie said it'd be a very cross bun if it had no fruit.
It would be a very cross bun. They don't even put a cross on it, Maxie, just a little grimace. Just a little grimace and a slightly annoyed looking face on top of the bun, as if to say to people, what on earth are you picking me up for?
Piper says, I've never heard of cross buns until watching you and others in Australia and UK. They're hot cross buns, Piper.
Hot cross buns, 1 a penny, 2 a... There's an old nursery rhyme for the children. Hot cross buns, 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns. If you haven't got, and it goes on a little bit more. I can't remember the second verse. You can check it out. I knew it when I was a kid.
Eric says, do people around the world drink hot chocolate, or are they just coffee and tea people?
People who like hot chocolate drink hot chocolate. The only place I can remember that really drinks hot chocolate as a norm, actually, they did in France quite a bit, drink hot chocolate. But the only place that I know that really love their hot chocolate is in Mexico, yes. And I suspect it's similar in other parts of Central and Southern America as well. They make with the masa flour. They make, what is the name of the drink? Champora or something. There's a name for it. Well, it's delicious. It's an Atoli-based drink, but there's a proper name for it when it's made with chocolate. And one of you will tell me. I'm sure you'll know. Michelle will probably look it up, but it's not so important. And that is delicious. It is possibly the best hot chocolate I've ever had. Atoli, which is heavenly. It's yes. A Mexican maize-based drink made with. I've made it on my channel quite a few times, so you can always check it out. I think I've even got one specific video just on making atoli. They're in Mexico. Everybody drinks this stuff. It's so good. But nowhere else really. France actually has a bit of a tradition. When we've been in France, a lot of places do hot chocolate, but I can't think of anywhere that specifically drinks hot chocolate. You know, there's a reason. Hot chocolate is generally made in most places from pretty much the most basic of ingredients. In France, they actually use melted chocolate, that's why it tastes so good. But Mostly it's just made with sort of cocoa powder and things, and hot chocolate hasn't got any caffeine in it, so it's not addictive. The reason people all drink coffee is because it's a drug. It's an absolute dependency. So everyone around the world drinks tea and coffee. They both have a sort of drug in there by way of caffeine. Yes, the master champ, you will get deleted and blocked if you just put nonsense on there.
So
the world's too beautiful for this.
Chris Garton says, going to try your panettone recipe. It looks delicious.
My panettone is more, that's an invention that came up with a bit of a story. Michelle and I, when we were in Sicily, it was Christmas time.
It was.
And we were loving. I mean, we were so lucky. Christmas time in Sicily. Can you imagine, right? Lasted freezing. It was so cold. It was a bit like here when we first arrived. Very cold. And the panettone was heavenly. I mean, panettone in Australia just tastes like a horrible. They sell it in the supermarkets. It's horrible, dry. It's not particularly pleasant, and I've never understood panettone because I've always thought it's just like a big old dry sponge cake. It never tastes good. Of course, when I was in Sicily, we bought a little panettone to try. One of our friends, first of all, gave us a try of this, and I thought it just got a hint of orange, citrus. It was soft. It was more like a what's the French brioche, like a beautiful, slightly aromatic brioche. It was so delicious, and I fell in love with panettone. I had so many of them in Italy when we were there. What we have in Australia is not panettone. It's rubbish, unless of course somebody makes one for you, but the stuff in the supermarkets is that sort of stuff that gets left behind because it's all dry and unpleasant. Anyway, cut the long story short, we were trying to make a quick panettone to share with you from our kitchen in Sicily, and I tried dozens. I was researching because panettone takes time. A good panettone takes a couple of days at least to make, and I thought I'm going to make a quick panettone, one that people can make in a few hours. And it didn't matter what I did, they weren't coming out like a good panettone. I had Sicilian panettone and I had my panettones. They were like brick bullets. They weren't nice at all. So I'd made some scones, whatever you want to call them. I'd made some scones for our neighbours, and I'd given them some of our English style scones. And I said to Michelle, you know what I can do is I can make a little raised scone, like a little high-sided scone, but with all the flavours of a panettone. So with a little bit of orange zest and sort of the orangey tastes in there. And I decided to call it a panescone. I was quite proud of that.
They were delicious.
And they were so good. So we made, if you want to, next Christmas time, if you want that flavour of making a homemade panettone, but you can't be bothered to make a really good one that does take, to be honest, at least 2 days. Make a panescone, Steve's kitchen style. One day somebody will steal that, and I'll be very disappointed.
Moon over Miami says Turkish kunefe for breakfast is delicious.
Kunefe is the cheese, the stringy cheese. I've had that. Delicious. I did get to have that. That tastes like that tastes absolutely delicious. Now, when I think I said, moms, I said to some people anyway, I'd gone out and, stupid me, Michelle and I decided to have a kunefe. We'd had a beautiful chicken soup, and I ordered the kunefe, and the guy brought it to the table, put it down. It was on a little tray, put it down on the table. I never even thought. I just grabbed the plate to turn it round, and of course the whole plate is being put in under the broiler, or Americans would call it, but they can put under the grill, under the flames. So the plate was red hot, and I burnt my hand, like, I could feel straight, ow, like that. A silly mistake. So I learnt quickly, but it was delicious. It's like almost like a mozzarella cheese. It's not really a mozzarella, but it's like a stringy cheese with a sweet sauce, a sweet treacle all over it, and our one certainly had a lot of coconut. Would be like a desiccated coconut, perhaps.
I've only had it once because then shut.
I've only had it once, and that place has shut down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I'm really looking forward to. So certainly those lovely donations we got earlier on will be some of that will be going into a canape, because I'd like to go back to that restaurant.
That would be
actually,
very good, yes.
that'd be nice. They're actually still open, but they're only doing takeaway, and it's a very limited menu. And I don't think they give me like a hot canape to sort of carry on up the hill. So
Chris Hereford said, my brother Kenny from Melbourne may join us on this chat right now. That would be cool.
hello, Kenny.
Yeah.
Good day, mate. This has gone longer than I thought.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a bit of fun.
But,
I only really wanted to talk about Friday night and the bedlam down there, but we've got lots to talk about.
Chris Garton says, same in the UK, cheap Christmas panettone, very dry, the real deal, made with natural yeast, butter and citrus aroma, cannot be beat, very hard to make at home.
It's time consuming to make. Actually, the process is not super complicated, and if I'd had more time and more equipment, I probably would have shown a recipe how to make it. But it's time consuming, and I have never had really. I've had panettone in 5-star hotels at Christmas time. They'll book panettone sometimes on. I've stayed in a lot of quite nice establishments over the years, and they book panettone up there. And every time I've had it, it's like having sort of Aunt Jemima's sort of like second-hand processed Victoria sponge that's been set on the side. And it's got a little bit of orange essence in it. Never enjoyed it, but in Italy, maybe it's just the romance of being, in Sicily. But they were delicious. Even the cheap, and they were so cheap. You could buy a big box of panettone for about €3. They range from about 3 to 15 euros. But to be honest, even the €3 ones tasted infinitely better than anything I'd ever had. So I suddenly started to appreciate panettone, and that's why we made the panesconi.
Andre says, have you guys tried olive oil from Barry? And Piper says, love a good olive oil.
No, I haven't had it from Barry. Barry in Italy, there's a Barry in Wales as well. I'm thinking there's a little island called Barry Island down below Cardiff in Wales, and I'm thinking, I don't know if they do carry. I'm not sure if they do a good olive oil down in Barry, down in the valleys. So I certainly haven't had one from Barry, Barry, but I have had. No, I haven't had the olive oil from Barry in Italy also. But we have been. There's a video on our channel. Who was going through the videos? Was it?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Who was going through the playlists?
I think it was one of the.
There isn't a lot in Sicily. But we do visit a beautiful. We actually were watching them picking the fresh olives in the vineyards where we were staying, and then we went up into the mountains, and the guy was pressing fresh olives, and he gave us a bottle of his most delicious extra virgin olive oil, which, how often a lot of olive oils are quite a little musty. Well, a really fresh olive oil from the press, not straight from the press, they do have to process them slightly further, is really grassy and delicious. So good olive oil. I've had some of the most outstanding olive oils. If you get them a little olive oil on your palm, just on your thumb palm there, and just rub it together. The proper way to sort of smell an olive oil, you just rub it on your palm and then smell the flavour, and you can tell a good olive oil if you just rub it like this, have a little smell, and it's got that lovely sort of like fresh grass, like fresh, not like the musty smell of grass, but yes. What is that, Michelle? You've put some links there.
The olive farm and you picking the olives.
Yeah, so check out when you get a chance, look at the Italian playlist. There's a few videos there. I'm not sure how many. Every country we've been to, I think we've done a playlist for. So if you're bored, get on there, comment, so I know you're watching them. That's always nice to know. If you're watching any of the series, whether it's from Italy, whether it was driving up through the Alps of our European tour, where we were up in the Alps of Austria, we drove down through Italy. There's lots to see.
Chrissy just said, hey, nice put your stream. I was on your channel to look for a biscotti recipe. feel that I have to have it today?
Biscottis, I love making biscotti. We lived in France many years, and we had our own little farm there, and one of the things we always used to like making for the kids was a biscotti with the fresh fruits and that we made so little. We used to dry our own. We had 2 or 3 cherry trees on the land, and each year the cherries would come in abundance. I mean, you just couldn't get through them. So Michelle and I used to spread them out in the sun in the summer, and we'd dry them till they were like a little cranberry, like a little sweet cranberry, and we would make biscotti with them. Biscotti twice baked, and I've got probably, I don't know, I would imagine there's 1,000+ videos on my channel. I think there's got to be at least 2 or 3 biscotti videos, and my biscotti is flawless. I'm a big fan of cranberry and pistachio biscottis were some of my favorite. I do like it also with almonds roasted almonds. I like a little fruit. I'm not so keen on the plain biscotti, even good plain biscotti is okay, but I like a little fruit in there. I even like them dipped in chocolate, and I don't mean dipped in milk chocolate. I mean, I like quite the biscotti where you just dip it into a little milk or dark chocolate, have a little cover on this. So biscotti recipes, they're all there if you want to check them out. Ever so easy to make. You can make biscotti with your eyes closed. It's not a complicated recipe.
Petri and Piper are having a little chat about grocery stores in the US, and they're talking about Piggly Wiggly. We know Piggly Wiggly.
Piggly Wiggly. The first time we saw, who's talking about Piggly Wiggly? Petri and
Piper, because they're talking about hot cross buns and where they can find them, and they're talking about where they are.
I always remember the first time we were driving down with our kids. We were doing what we call grey lining, which is driving on the small roads through America, and we've been going down through sort of Alabama, Louisiana, and places like that. And we drew, I can't remember which town it was in. Forgive me for not recalling. It would have been in the sort of the southern states though. We drove around the corner, and there's this picture of this big pink pig on the side of a supermarket, and it said Piggly Wiggly, and we sort of burst into laughter because Piggly Wiggly supermarket. And we went in there and we were taking photographs. Back in the day, it was just like regular photographs, back in the 1800s, stand together, children. Let me just put the cloth over my head. Okay, flash. So we saw the Piggly Wiggly, and I thought it was a one-off, but it was a whole chain all over the south. What a great name for a supermarket. They have no shame. It's just perfect. A lovely little supermarket from my memory, but we were probably going into Piggly Wiggly in about 2001 maybe, if I remember rightly.
So Chris Garton says, have you ever made or tried, I think it's marmul, not sure what country they originate from, but it's a type of cookie made with semolina flour and ghee filled with date paste. Just discovered them recently. It looks good.
No, I actually haven't even heard of them. At least sometimes there are things somebody will say to me, you've had those, Steve, you had them there, and I don't remember everything. It's semolina paste and dates.
Cookie made with semolina flour and ghee filled with date paste.
No, I don't know them. I'll check them out. Michelle can just open a tab and make a note, and we'll have a look afterwards.
And it also says, a few years ago I bought a Prosecco panettone from Asda in the UK. It was almost £15. I thought since it was made in Italy and was expensive, it would be good. Ended up being the worst panettone ever.
I've done the same. I bought, I've had friends round, and because there's a lot of sort of we used to, when we lived in France, we would often make brioches, and homemade brioches are delicious. And actually, it's not dissimilar when you buy a brioche in the supermarket. They're quite often the most atrocious. I mean, if you've had fresh brioche in France or fresh panettone in Italy, and then you go into a Safeways or a supermarket in Australia, or you go into a supermarket somewhere else and you buy one, they can be amazingly disappointing. And you could almost sort of start saying to yourself, well, those people that rave about a panettone or so they're mad. And actually, I think I was quite scathing of panettone. I couldn't believe that anyone would rave about what was a pretty poor tasting sponge cake. Now, don't get me wrong, panettone next to a good Christmas pudding, it chalk and cheese. The Christmas pudding for me does it every time, but that's because we grew up and I make a really good Christmas pudding. By the way, it is April. It is April. Great time to start making your Christmas puddings. If you can get the fruit and all the ingredients on one of the 3 recipes I put up there, now's the time to make your Christmas puddings and put them in the little pudding bowls and leave them in the cupboard. They don't need going in the fridge or freezer. You just make them to the recipe, you pop them in the cupboard. You have got May, June, July, August, September, October, November and December. You have got 8 months. It's almost long enough to make a Christmas pudding mature to the point where it's going to taste better. So, and actually make 4 of them so you can actually keep 2 for 2021 Christmas, because
make some for gifts.
Make them for gifts.
Make great Christmas pudding.
Because good Christmas pudding, as long as you can get the dried fruits and they're in season and not costing an arm and a leg. I've made a good Christmas pudding in Australia with just the cheap home brand mixed fruit, and it's still very delicious. But it's any homemade Christmas pudding is really good.
Kev Island says, I'm halfway through your Japan videos. Love your walkabout in the back streets.
Yeah, Japan was a lot of fun.
And Sally H says, I haven't seen the older videos. I must go back and take a look.
Sally, you must.
I'm not sure all of them are up there. It might be on the other channel. There's ones in Europe.
We have another channel that we did put some of the travel videos on and didn't put them on. A little bit I've abandoned that channel because somebody said to me, do a second channel. It was called Stepping Off the Edge. And there are actually some videos on that channel that possibly are not on my main channel. So you can check that out if you can find it. Chin chin, everyone.
So Jarle Midton says, greetings from Norway. Have you ever been to Scandinavia?
No, we have never been even close to Scandinavia. My father's been to Scandinavia many times, and he's always sung great praises of Scandinavia, particularly Norway. And we've talked about it. The only reason we probably don't is we're often looking for sunnier climes when we go traveling, and I always think I don't tend to by choice head towards the colder places. So I think if we go to Scandinavia, if we go to sort of Norway or Denmark, Sweden, we would probably go in the summer. I did get an invitation at one time. Somebody said, oh, you should come to the Faroe Islands. And I think the Faroe Islands would be absolutely gorgeous to visit. But again, they did say to me, only come in the summer. The winter's just appalling. Yeah, one day. And I love the food I love all the roll mops and the beautiful, some of the breads from that region, some of those sort of really dark rye and the roll mops and the way they make all their sort of pickled vegetables and things like that. I love that food. I'm a big fan, always have been. So yeah, we'll get there one day.
So Andre says, what olive oil do you use in Turkey? I had a hard time finding good ones. Many were like vegetable oil, but it could be that I'm a newbie here.
Andre, we've not been here long enough to tell you, to be honest, and I haven't. The only oil we bought turned out to be vinegar. So you're asking the wrong person at the moment. We cooked our whole meal yesterday in a dish full of vinegar, and thinking it was just a light vegetable oil, but because I didn't have my glasses on when I went into the supermarket, I thought it was a picture of some vegetables on the front, and it was next to the vegetable oil.
Quantum says, thanks, see you soon on the video. Bye, must go family, you know.
Take care, Quantum.
Thank you very much, Quantum. Appreciate what you the super chat.
Have a quick go through, Michelle, and see if there's any questions on it.
I'm working my way down.
Sorry, Michelle's, look, she's over there. Bless her. She's doing her. She's doing her work.
So Chris says, what's your favourite country out of all those you visited?
Chris, I get asked that a lot. We get asked that a great deal, and at the moment it is Turkey, Istanbul. It's always where we are, and I don't ever want to. You can't really disrespect a country by saying, you know, this was the best country and that wasn't. It generally is the country we're in, though. I mean, let's face it. When we were touring around Australia, best country in the world. I mean, I always say to people, what a beautiful place to tour around is Australia. But we've had great experiences pretty much everywhere. We do tend to if somebody says, have you been to South Korea, and we start, oh yeah, we went to Busan in South Korea, it was so good, the food was great, we fell in love with the kimchi, we loved the people, and that was the place. And what about, have you been to Japan? Yeah, oh, and then straight away I'm thinking, oh, Fukuoka, Japan, one of my favorite stops that we've had. Yeah, everywhere's good. Everywhere. I haven't. Probably the easier thing would be to say to people, what countries don't you like? And if you ask me that, so far I haven't found one. So.
Petri said, did you
oh, I didn't enjoy Vietnam last time.
Yes, but I think that
I didn't enjoy Vietnam. And forgive me, because I've got a lot of friends from Vietnam, but I found something was going wrong with Vietnam, and it's a popular destination now. But no, I wouldn't be going there. Not until they sort out a few issues.
So Petri said, did you get a t-shirt for souvenirs? Piggly Wiggly was featured in the movie Driving Miss Daisy.
Was it?
No, we didn't get a t-shirt.
I saw that movie, but I probably just... Nowadays, now I know Piggly Wiggly, I probably wouldn't have taken much notice of it. And also, a lot of people that watch Driving Miss Daisy may well have just thought that was a random, silly name supermarket that didn't really exist, because they do sometimes use such things in movies. It was quite an eye-opener when we drove around the corner and saw one of those for the first time. Obviously, it got more common as the further we drove, but yeah, it was quite interesting.
So Maxie says you've got a video bombing bird there, Steve, and I wonder what they were talking about. And it was outside, it's gone now.
Has it gone? It's probably, I think I keep seeing the light comes and goes, doesn't it? It's sort of, you can see behind me, got some lovely colours. This street is absolutely, it's really old. I mean, the street, where's the lens? Let me just see. So the street's old style Istanbul, and both ways, a bit blown out in the background here. There's no way of adjusting that on here, I don't think. Was there a bird? It will be a dove. There are some beautiful little wood doves, or there are sort of. Look at this building next to me. See that building? The doves are that colour. The walls are painted that colour, and the doves. It's almost as if they stand on this ledge here. Where is it? This ledge here. They match it exactly. They almost completely blend in, and on the street lights outside our room, they're there every day, and one of them, these flowers.
Well, I've just seen Mio said love the flowers in the windows.
Yeah, look at see these flowers in my window. Well, they're plastic, not real. But I tell you what is real, just in here, look.
But it's not any good because it's been there too long.
One of the birds has laid an egg. It's not been there too long. It's not smelling.
They're not sitting there.
But they laid a little egg in there. So one of them was trying to nest in a plastic flower box. Isn't that funny? I said to Michelle, I said, there's somebody nesting in here.
So you've been looking out for it, but it never came.
And I hoped it would come back, but I don't think it's probably one of the doves. It doesn't look like a dove's egg.
It's too small.
A pigeon. They're a pigeon of sort, but yeah, I know. I left it there hoping it would come back, but it's definitely a real egg.
Yeah, well,
Well, Michelle's saying yes. I'm just saying, I'm just questioning it, but.
Well, who would put a plastic egg in with the plastic flowers?
No, it's definitely a real egg. It's been there nearly 4 weeks now, and the bird hasn't come back. So you can see little speckled little mottle on it.
Wow, an egg in time for Easter.
We got an Easter egg.
The bird gave you an Easter egg.
That's Michelle. I told you this morning. Easter egg hunt.
I know. I didn't do my.
You didn't look in the flower pot, did you? See, there it is. God, I wish I'd thought of that. I saw it about 3 weeks ago, so I didn't notice. But yeah, that's your Easter present. There you go, sorted. Thank you for that idea.
So Chris said, did you do a backwater trip when you were in coaching?
No, we didn't do a backwater trip. To our regret a little bit, because when we first arrived, we heard some negative things. There's a lot of very you know, touristy backwater trips that are sort of just there for the tourists, and they're all a bit sort of kiss me quick hats and sort of, you know, straw donkeys and what have you. So we were trying to then find a better backwater, and one of our big plans was to do go on the canals of Kochi, and then somebody said to us about one, and we got told about it, and we said, well, we'll do that, and then it just never happened. So no, we didn't do it in the end. So, you know, next time we'll do it next time.
So I think I've got all cut off on those comments now.
Beautiful. So we've gone on a lot longer than I anticipated. I will do some bread making. I think that'll be a bit of fun. It will be a bit of a long-winded video like this, so it'll be more chatting and bread making. And if any of you want to do it with us, we'll do it in the next
week,
sometime this week. So as long as you've got some flour, a little bit of salt and water. There's an old abandoned building over here, sorry, and it's right in the middle of two more modernised buildings. And we noticed today that there are cats living in it, because there are loads of cats climbing all over the outside of the building. And I just saw another one going along, and some kittens came out the window when we were looking just earlier on. So we will we'll do that. And if any,
I like these chill streams.
Yeah, I like them. They're a bit of fun. We might introduce a little bit of yogurt for American friends. We might introduce a bit of yogurt in there. I might show you how to make at least 2 different types of bread that you can make with very little equipment at all, because all we have is a pan and a choppy old gas stove, and that's about it. So I'll show you some lovely breads. If you want to make them with me, make sure you've got a griddle or a skillet or any sort of frying pan, ideally with a fairly solid base so it doesn't just burn everything, and a bit of flour, a bit of water, and a bit of salt, and some yogurt if you have it, if you want to do everything. But if you want to,
Petri likes my dress. It's a crappy old t-shirt, Petri, but thank
Petri,
you.
we're running out of clothes. You know this t-shirt here, which says welcome on it? Would you believe it? It's just developed some holes just here, Petri. Michelle's stuff's going the same way. This is the only t-shirt I've got left, and I don't want to throw it away. This is the only t-shirt I got left that I started this. If you go and look at my very first touring video after we left Australia 5 years ago in Thailand, in Bangkok, I think, you might have to check this out now for me, I think you will see me wearing this shirt.
For sure, in that series.
Yeah, in Thailand 5 years ago. This shirt, it's lasted. That's how well this shirt's lasted. It's nothing special, it's just cheap. And it's been with us the whole journey. And just about 2 weeks ago, it started getting holes in the neckline. And so I've kind of decided I might keep it just to wear as a sort of tradition. So yeah, if you have a look at those, remember that, I don't know if any of you remember that beautiful train journey that goes through the middle of a town. We went to in Thailand, we went to a town where the train literally goes right through the center of the market at speed, not super fast, but and the market is actually on the train tracks. It's called the Meklong Railway, and I'll get Michelle to put the link there. Check it out. It's absolutely ballistic. The market is on the train tracks, and this bloody great big train comes through the market, and just before, like seconds before, not even minutes, people move their market stalls, their fish and their meats and everything off of they just roll it all back. They've all got like canopies that go over the railway track, so they just roll those back, and the train goes through the market, and the moment the train goes the other side of their stand, they drop down the canopies, roll the vegetables and fruit back onto the train tracks, and just carry on as if nothing's happened. And they do that every time the train comes through. It's a beautiful video, and I might be wearing this t-shirt in that. So I'll get Michelle to check that video. If you do nothing else at the end of this, check out the Meklong Railway. It's bizarre.
I found it.
It's bizarre. Michelle's just going to drop the link up there so you can go and.
It's in the playlist link, so but it's okay.
Okay, you can have a look at it and tell me. First one to tell me doesn't get anything. There's no gift. There's no prize if I'm wearing this T-shirt in that market. If I'm not, it's certainly in one of the other early Thai trips. So that's a long time for a T-shirt to wear. It's probably the only thing. I don't know why I've kept it. It's just a sentimental, and I'm rubbish at throwing stuff out. Even though Michelle and I travel super light. Yeah, so Mom's Moon over Miami remembers it. I don't know if any of you have.
Sally's added it to watch later.
I don't know if any of you watched it. That is like health and safety. If that existed anywhere else in the world, it would have been closed down.
It's just amazing the way that it just synchronises there.
Watch it. I mean, do watch it. It's just you can go past my babbling and talking and this, that, and the other. But just take a look at something that won't be there for much longer. I mean, I can't imagine as Thailand modernises, they'll let that go on. And as far as I know, nobody ever gets hurt. There are people shopping on the railway tracks. It's like a bazaar, like a Turkish bazaar.
No, because the vendors just moved it back. One just moved it back.
And we were stood, and the train goes past you less than maybe 3 inches away from your body, and I was filming it this side, and Michelle, these were the good old days when we used to use 2 cameras a lot more than we do now. We still do occasionally. Michelle's doing some sort of low shots on one side, I'm doing some sort of high shots on the other side. It was just like a symphony, like a beautiful ballet, as the market just sort of like a sponge just sort of pushed itself back, and then as the train went past, the sponge sort of just closed back up over the train tracks. Bizarre, absolutely bizarre. So check that out. That's my tip for the day. We're all good. I hope you're good. If you're watching this later on, do leave us some comments. Here she is.
Bye. Happy
Michelle,
Easter, everybody. We
happy
had a lovely
Easter.
time. Entertained us for the afternoon.
Thank you for doing my
and our 48-hour curfew in Istanbul.
hopefully
Yes. Well, don't move your phone. Didn't like that.
didn't like that. We just disconnected. Anyway, love to you all. Take care. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.